right. And so we already read earlier in verse 13. This kind of brings us to the passage that we read. And sorry, not verse 13, chapter 13. This is the passage that we read at the beginning. And I just want to fill you in as we get to this. Another war is brewing, right? The Philistines are back. And if you could picture this, their army's on one side of the ravine, and Israel's on this side. And there, it said at the beginning of the place that we read that there were 30,000 chariots and 6,000 horsemen, and people like the sand on the seashore. How would you like to look across and see a giant army of people waiting to come and attack you? That wouldn't be very pleasant, would it? And sometimes, have you ever gone through something maybe where you knew you had to do something big that was important, maybe something you dreaded, and the weight is what kills you? It's that weight and the fear and all that begins to build up, right? And sometimes if you could just go ahead and get it over with, it'd be better, right? Well, here they are, and we find that they're waiting and looking across. Well, how do you think they responded? They begin to get afraid. And so even though Saul's army is also gathered, it said that they began to hide themselves. They saw that they were in trouble. The people kept themselves hidden in caves and crevices and cliffs and crypts and in pits. So wherever they could hide, they were hiding. Some men began to leave. And it wouldn't be that hard, would it? You're just kind of looking, I got this new king, he's brand new. Yeah, he won that last battle, but do you see the size of that army? How do you defeat chariots when you don't have them? And they've got all those horses. They're terrified. And they begin to leave, and Saul is looking around and going, well, how should I solve this? And so we read it earlier, but I want to look at it again. Look at verse 8. It says, Saul waited for the 7 days until the appointed time that Samuel would come. So Samuel is supposed to come and offer an offering to the Lord, seek the Lord's counsel on this. All right, is the Lord going to go up and help them or not? Are they supposed to go to battle or not? What should they do? And Samuel is late. And by the way, this is no accident that Samuel's late. This is a test, right? And we're going to see that in a minute because Samuel shows up as soon as this is over. But I want you to notice what he does. Saul is waiting. You can imagine the circumstances. All right, we're supposed to offer this offering to the Lord. The man of God is going to be here. People trust Samuel. This is going to embolden the army. We're going to know that God is with us, and we're going to give the order. We're going to go over there. We're going to conquer. But then when it doesn't happen and the people are leaving, Saul's thinking, what am I going to do? And so Saul offers up the burnt offering. He has them bring it to him, and he does it. Now, what's the problem with that, church? He's not authorized. What tribe is Saul from? You guys remember? He's from the tribe of Benjamin. What group was supposed to be doing the running the temple and the sacrifices? The Levites. He's not a Levite. What happened when somebody stumbled and put their hand out on the ark? They died. It was holy. It was different. Saul's not supposed to do this at all. And you know what? Saul knows it. And you could tell that because when he responds to Samuel, as you look down the text, if you look down at the end of verse 12, he says, I worked up the courage and offered the burnt offering. And he said he did it because he said, now the Philistines are going to come against me. I've not asked the favor of the Lord. He knew that. He talked about the army scattering. He looked at all the practical things, the pragmatic stuff, and said, oh no, I can't wait on God to handle this. I can't wait on Samuel. I've got to do it myself, in spite of knowing he wasn't supposed to. Notice he had to work up the courage not to go to battle. He had to work up the courage to offer that offering because he knew there would be consequences if he did it. And he took the gamble and said, well, maybe it'll be all right. Did he obey the commandment of the Lord? And if you look back at what we just said in chapter 12, he said, if you will fear the Lord and serve him and listen to his voice and not rebel against the command of the Lord, then both you and the king who reigns over you will follow the Lord your God. This is the beginning of the downfall of Saul. Because he has offered what he was not supposed to offer and done what he was not supposed to do. And guys, what do you call it when you violate the express commands of the Lord? Sin, right? That's just a fancy way of saying Saul sinned against the Lord. And we're going to see at the end of this that, you know what, we also call that treason, insubordination, rebellion against your king. And that's what Saul did. And you might think, well, it doesn't sound like that big a deal. Right? There's worse things a leader of the nation could do, right? But he violated the command that God had given him. And he did it knowingly. Have you guys ever decided maybe it was more practical or pragmatic to do things your way instead of the way that God intended? I think we're all there sometimes, right? And sometimes we think, it might be sin, but it'll accomplish the goal I wanted to accomplish. Anybody ever been there? That's why we have that confession time, right? Because we've all been there. And it's why we're so thankful for the assurance of pardon that we have in Christ, because we know that short of the grace of God, we all make the same decisions at times.